And welcome everyone to my talk on egoless leadership. And thank you, Agila Sverige, for inviting me back here. Last time I was speaking on stage was in 2016, and I was speaking about how various mind training methods can help us become more calm and more productive at the same time. Now, sometime after my talk, I too realized that I need to deepen my own practice in mastering my mind. So I decided to go up into the Himalayas for a month to do this practice. Well, I decided to go for a month and ended up staying for 3 years. And here is me overlooking the river Ganges that is flowing through the mountains. And I went there, you know, they say, go to the east to find yourself. I couldn't find myself. But it was okay, because the more I was practicing, I realized that I can remain calm even though my mind and emotions aren't calm. So I could find a space, this what I call the egoless space, which is our essential being. And so one day, just like you were laughing, I was quite happy. So I just walked down to a school nearby, knocked on the door, and said, "Hello, can I help?" And all of a sudden, I found myself becoming a teacher. And actually, for the majority of my time there, I was a teacher in the school or helping out in other ways. And I really love these kids, by the way, really love them and miss them. And so we can ask ourselves, but what am I really? And of course, we would say we are the body. Would everybody agree? It is true. But if we look deeper, maybe you've heard the quote, "I think, therefore I am." How many agree on this quote, that this is the proper definition of what we are? Yeah, you're uncertain. Yeah. But there seems to be something that is aware of our thoughts. There seems to be something that is aware of our opinions. There seems to be something that is aware of what you think about this talk. And you seem to be that which is aware of your mind's opinion about my talk, whatever that thing is. Now, we might call it consciousness, awareness. You can call it whatever you like. Spiritual traditions maybe call it the soul or something else, and that's fine. And this might seem a little bit too mystical, but actually our greatest scientist, Max Planck, one of the founders of quantum mechanics, was speaking, saying that actually consciousness is fundamental and matter is only a derivative of it. Another very famous scientist, Einstein, was speaking about different levels of consciousness and that ideas come from a higher level of consciousness than the one that we are normally aware of. And this is not so far away from us in the Agile community that we might think, because the logo of Scrum actually comes from the Zen tradition, meaning emptiness or nothingness or egolessness. And so I didn't realize it back then when I was up in the mountains, but this can actually help us develop our organizations much, much faster, because I didn't realize it, but I was actually still developing myself. Because if you look at leadership training today, they would teach us processes. That's where Agile is, but also mental mind strategies, mindset, etc., which is also where Agile works. But there is always a resistance in our body, because the body doesn't like to change. It's cling to its habits, etc. But if we can find this, what we can call the egoless being that we are, then things will just flow much easier. Like that day when I just walked down to a school, not even knowing why I did that. And so if you look at current leadership trainings today, they will teach you one of these things. So they will teach you how to motivate people, coach people, team dynamics, etc. And I will unpack these now for you and see how coming to our real position will help us get more results from these. So, I mean, in the Agile community, we want to get away from this type of leaders, right? Because we want everybody to become leaders and facilitate that. But the fact is, if we still believe that we are a person, we will think of ourselves first. And so we will prioritize our position in the company instead of what the organizational change will be best for everyone. We will prioritize our way up instead of the needs of our clients that we are here to serve. But if we realize that actually there is another space to me, then we can actually flow with the changes in the organization. And when it comes to coaching and leadership development, I know it's hard for the leader to coach someone because you want to grow and fit them into a certain position in your company instead of seeing, well, in what way does this person want to grow? In what way does this person have qualities? And where do they fit in the organization? And coaching them in the right way. But in order to do that, a manager needs to put his interest or her interest to the side. When it comes to conflict management, the best trainings out there will teach you that in order to solve conflicts on a deep level, we need to see that whenever there's a conflict, people are expressing a really deep need within themselves. And if we can recognize that on the deepest level, we all have the same needs. We need to be loved, we need to be heard, etc. And so if we can understand what is the deepest need that that person has, and also knowing what our deepest needs are, then we can meet in that space, and from that space we can find solutions that can benefit everyone. But in order to do this, we ourselves need to do the work and find our deepest needs and know what those are. When it comes to resistances to change, I think we all in the Agile community know how hard it is. Because the thing is, the ego wants to cling to things. It wants more and it wants to keep things. But nothing in nature is persistent. Everything is a constant state of change, and everything will be lost at one point in our lives, at least. And so being okay with this, being okay, because if you stand from a ground that is always peaceful, you can be in a stressful environment, and it's fine. When it comes to team dynamics, well, it's all about me versus we, right? So we can go further. Now, I know that as managers, we want people to deliver, but do we actually really care for people? In my experience in almost 20 years of working, I haven't seen much of this, because managers, of course, we want people to deliver, but if we really care for people, then things will be much, much better. But in order to do this, we need to come to our core, and we need to find their core as well, or help them rather find their core, and together we can meet in that space. When it comes to negotiation literature, have anybody heard of judo management? It was very good. So it was popular, I think it started in the 80s. Basically, instead of like in normal negotiations, you would go head to head with each other. Judo management speaks about using the energies in the room. But in order to do this, you need to put yourself on the side so that the driving forces of everybody can be steered in a positive direction. So once again, putting your ego to the side. And if you do this, then everything will just go in a flow, like a beautiful dance. And so in today's world, where we have wars, and in a sense, I mean, we are paying with higher prices and inflation, but we're okay with this. We're okay with this. Why? Because we know that while we are paying with higher prices, other people are paying with their blood. And so there seems to be a deeper space within us that even though we are losing on higher prices, we're okay with it. And it is in this space we need to find in ourselves, also in our companies. And this is what I realized when I was volunteering, that we don't have to go and volunteer. We can do this in our companies. But first, we need to go and realize our egoless space, where our heart is. And if we do that, if we really realize our values and principles and our mission and vision in life, then we can align those with those of the company. But first, we need to do this work, and continuously. And after that, here's where the magic happens. And then we can iterate in an agile fashion. And so that's the sweet spot where the magic happens. But we need to do this work first. And so there are various ways of doing this. And I have 20 seconds left, so I don't have time to explain everything. Find me in the breaks. I will be here all day today. And I just want to say my last word. It's really nice to be here, because this conference is all about in the same spirit of helping each other. Thank you.